Okay, so this is kind of the hot mess of the projects that I have ready for workshop, and hopefully you'll be able to watch this before you come, so that way some of it makes a little sense of what I'm asking you all to do. So some of the things you're going to want is a ruler. You're going to want glue. This will require glue because we have some very narrow items we're going to be putting together. You could put glue dots in them if you would rather, but from what I've seen, everyone that does these projects online, they do use glue. Best would be is if you could have one with a fine tip, but these have a fairly good tip as well. So I've already poured out everything that's going to come in your card. It's going to be a worker's vest. So you're going to have a white card stock. You're going to have the vest is going to be yellow itself. And then we're going to have some orange, I meant. And then the you're going to have the stripes on it are going to be yellow and gray to make it look kind of like it's reflective, like a reflective piece. Kind of to be easy, why don't we just put together the these stripe pieces. So you're going to have two long yellow pieces, two shorter yellow pieces, and then you're going to have gray. The gray is a smaller size, obviously, because you want it to appear to be a stripe. So you get the two long gray, two short gray, and then you put them together. So let me get this together quick. I'm going to use tear and tape here. It's wide enough and easy enough for me. You can use tear and tape, you can use your adhesive, or you can use glue. If you're using glue, be very sparing with it because you do not want it to make your project bubble up or get rippled. So you're going to put your gray strip right in the middle of your yellow. Okay. Just going to keep going on. And you're not seeing me in the camera because I had a little head injury, so I'm not able to wash my hair for a couple more days. So I am not looking pretty. Okay, got those two ready. These are going to be your stripes on your vest, is what these are going to be if I didn't explain it earlier. And then when you're done with these stripes, you're just going to set them aside because they'll get put on the front of the vest at a later time. But at least right now you have them ready to go. And the other thing you're going to want to put together is you will see a hammer and and we're going to put the head on top of the hammer. It's going to be like a silver reflective, or silver, you know, it's like shiny silver, excuse me. So it's going to be like this. So you're going to flip your hammer to fit the way that that is going to be. And put a little bit of tape on the back of this one. Okay, so that's going to be my hammer. And then you're going to have a wrench. Those two are your tools that you're going to have with your vest. All right, so now let's get to the more delicate part of the card. So your vest is going to be orange, but now what we need is we need a little white to show through for the shirt. And that's where this part here that you see is the zipper. So you're going to take a scissors and you're going to go right where this top line is, the top of this zipper. You're going to want to cut straight across. And then you're also going to want to cut on the bottom. The rest is already, as you can tell, it will pop through. And then this little side piece here does not get punched through either, so you're going to need to trim that as well. And then right straight across the bottom, okay? Okay, so now the zipper is, you know, it is cut all the way through. Even the teeth of it will go all the way through the top. So you really only need to do enough to get over the one side and then go over and get the other side. So like here, as you can tell, is already off. So I just need to go over to the other side and cut that. The middle will all come out by itself because the teeth are already cut through the foil. Okay, so now this whole middle piece came right out, okay? And then that just gets in the garbage. We won't need any of that. So this, you will see, will pull up. The zipper pulls up, okay? And then you don't want to pull this apart. You want your zipper to stay together. So you're going to want to trim on the bottom, but keep your zipper together on the bottom. And trim the sides here. Of course, this middle part is going to stay separated. Okay, so I've trimmed my side pieces off, and then I have not split this apart. Now if it comes apart, don't worry, you can just, you know, kind of feed the teeth back through just like a zipper. Now what we're going to want to do is, because we want white to show through here like it's the shirt, we're going to actually cut a V where the neckline's going to be. And so this is where you need your scissors, your ruler, because you want each side of each end of this the zipper to be about the same, so the zipper ends up being center. And that way when you get your stripes, you're going to have your stripes here. See, those stripes are going to go along. That way when you get your stripes on, they will all work out and they won't look like it's crooked. Okay, so here if I go here, I have 1 inch, which makes 3 1/4 and 4 1/4. Okay, so on each side of your zipper is going to be 1 inch. Okay, so that's where you want to put your zipper. Okay, now you may think, now what do I do? How do I keep it there? Okay, so just kind of pull it out. So I'm pulling out as is, okay? Now, what you want to do is get a pencil. That was the other thing I forgot to tell you, is to grab a pencil. And of course I don't. I got a pen, so I'm going to be hoping that this works out right. Okay. For me, I'm going to have to do this because I'm not going to be able to hold this and trace it well. So, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a piece of tape and tape it down on the edge. If you tape it down light enough, when you pull it up, it won't pull up the cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to do, and you want it on the outside of your zipper, because what you're doing, you're going to trim the inside of your zipper, okay? Okay, so, well, guess I'll move mine up. There we go, so I moved it up, okay, here. So what I mean by that is where your inside teeth are, you're going to take your pencil and you're just going to draw a line all the way down to the center, all the way down to the center, okay? Now, this is where you need to kind of pay attention, because if you were to just trim exactly where you drew your line, you would end up having orange in between the teeth, and you want that to be white. So what you need to do when you actually take this off and you trim it, you want to just kind of, in your mind, just kind of go out, just a little bit. That's 1/4 of an inch. Go trim on the outside of your line down, trim on the other outside down until it meets. Now, you want to go down past where you've met, because you want the white to go all the way down. Now, don't worry if like this little last bit orange will show through, because that we have the zipper pull, and we can cover that up with the zipper pull if that is the case. So don't worry about that, okay? But when you take this off, you want to trim on the outside of your line, 1/4 of an inch each side, all the way down until you make a V, okay? So I'm going to do mine. So here we go. I'm on the outside part. Boy, this is really bad. I might turn my light up just a little bit more. Outside here. Okay. I'm going to go on the outside of the other one. Now after you've trimmed, take your zipper and put it back over that spot and see if it's going to work. So here's mine. Okay. And I'm going to get the tape off of my zipper. And because that silver has got a little bit of a shine to it, if you do use a little Scotch tape, it is going to come right off. Okay, so now here's my card, and this is going to end up going over my card, and you want the zipper over. Okay, so I did pretty good on the one side, but I still have a little orange on the other side, so I'm going to trim up just a little bit. Okay. All right, so it looks like I've learned my lesson. Be a little bit more, take a little bit more than you think, because you do have this extra amount of silver cardstock there that will cover up if you go a little over, because you would rather go over and have that covered up. Okay. Okay, I think I've got it. All right. So now I've got my zipper cut enough. Even if you kind of bow out a little bit on your way down to the point, that seems to be the trick. Okay, 1 inch. Okay, so, all right. There's a few different demonstrators that do show how to make this card, and they all use different techniques and how they put the zipper part together. This one I thought would be the easiest of the ones that I saw. So now you see that this is ready. You got this ready, and then you're thinking, now what? Okay, so this is what ends up happening. So you're gonna take the rest of your silver zipper, and you need to be careful because that easily will come apart. And this is gonna go here, and it's gonna finish your zipper line down your shirt. So the best thing to do right now would be to take your cardstock, and that's going to be your base. Put that down, and Then we'll put the, we'll work on the top zipper part. Let me get my tear and tape. This one you definitely might even be able to go a little faster if you use your adhesive as well, your Stampin' adhesive. Right. The trick with this tear and tape is once you put it down, I take my thumb and I kind of go right over the edge of it again, and then I take my thumbnail and I kind of slide it up and down along this, and then usually it can glide right in there, and in between the white that you need to tear off and the tape that needs to stay on the card. Okay, now this is on purpose to cover the entire front of the card. I just felt that this was easier than to make your card base orange and then try to cut out an insert, a white insert, and put it in. And then with the white, you also have a nice what do you want to call it, opening for writing in. And I got off a little bit, okay. So you have to do this one. It is easy to get off a little bit because you are covering the entire front. So try to have your edge to the edge of the fold and go from there. I'm redoing mine. If you don't push down real hard, you're going to be able to pull that up. So you want to get your edge to the edge of the fold, and that'll go all the way to the top of the card, and then just let the rest of it just kind of fall in place. Okay, now mine ripped, but my zipper is going to cover it up. Okay, so now you have this, your zipper to put in, okay? This piece here is mainly there as a guide, so that way this gets set in and put into the right place. Okay. Let me get something on my, you want to have something underneath. If you're going to be doing glue. I always keep a pin handy, so if my thing gets clogged up, I can just put a pin in the hole there and unclog it. There we go. Okay, so I've got a little bit of glue on mine. I'm going to turn it over, and then if you want to again, have it so you get your silver edge on the 1 inch, and then if you have it flush to the top, then the rest should kind of fall in place. Okay, if you put glue on there, you're going to want to kind of maybe hold your fingers down on it for just a little bit. Let the glue kind of squeeze to the edges. Okay, and then let it set. There we go. Okay. So now you have this piece, and this you will put glue on, and you will match it up to the bottom where this, where you had to cut up until where it was already cut with the die cut. And that's where you're going to put your zipper, and you're going to put it down and glue it down, and you want enough glue on the edge because you're going to have to trim your edge off of the card because there's going to be extra, see, there's going to be extra zipper. So then you're going to want to do that next, is get that glued down. And just remember, you don't have to have glue all the way down to the very bottom of your zipper because you're going to be cutting it off. Do you want glue for sure on the top, where you're going to first put it? Okay. And of course this one, it will want to come apart. So keep it together as best you can, and then push it together if you need to when you get it on. So I'm going to have to push mine together a little bit. Put it in that slot there. Hold it down. Kind of keep it straight down the rest of the card. So I'm keep holding mine down there. And when I feel that it's been set long enough, I will trim the bottom. For me, I'm going to open up the card and kind of hang it over the edge of my table and then trim it that way. Because you want to trim it, but you don't want to trim the card that you have already there, because it's just going to make a big uneven bottom. Okay, so I've got mine done. All right, now you're going, okay, yay, zipper done. Actually, it's kind of not. Sorry. You're going to see 2 orange pieces, long pieces. These are going to be your channel that you're going to put along the outer edge of your, of your zipper. So looking at your cardstock, you will know of the trim. You will be able to tell what side of the trim to use. The side that's all wrinkly and bubbly and whatever, that's the underneath part. And so then you want the other side. Okay. Turn my light up a little bit here. Okay, there we go. So now you want to turn your zipper pieces so that they will fit on here in the right way. So I'm going to, it will match up at the top, and it's going to go over the outside edge of your silver, okay? So it's basically going to go right up to your teeth there, you know, as you see. Can you see on mine? It's going right up to my teeth. So that's where you're going to glue your trim. You're going to glue both sides of the trim, and then the top will, the top should match up pretty well without having to trim it. But the bottom will overhang and you will need to trim. But I did have you trim the zipper first, and then you're going to trim this. But you know, if you don't and you trim it together, that's fine too. All right, so go ahead and get that glued. I'm going to put my glue on my orange strips, but I can definitely see if you want to just put it along the side of your silver part of your zipper, but you're going to want the glue to be definitely behind the orange strips that you put on. So that's kind of my reasoning for putting it on the orange strips and not on the silver. Okay, now I have not glued on top of shiny paper like this before, so I'm hoping it'll set without much fuss, but we will find out. Just remember, your glue will dry clear, so if it ends up getting, you know, another part of your cardstock, don't worry. Another part of the card base, don't worry. Mine seems to be setting fairly well. Okay, I'm going to do my other side now. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, but I have my channel put on both sides. Okay, so now you have your reflectors. So they're going to go on each side. Just set them in place. Don't glue them down yet. Just set them in place where they're going to be, so you kind of get an idea. And then the gray will go up, and you want it to go right up against the channel. Okay, and like mine is gonna hang over a little bit on the one side here. As you see right there, it's going to hang over, so I'm going to trim that. And now if I wanted to, I could have probably tucked it underneath the channel, and I went to maybe had to trim the edge, but I'm afraid that if you do that, then you're going to have too much of a puckering on the channel. But see, like on this side, it works just perfect. The side ends just right. So that's just how that's going to be, all right? So now that you kind of know, then you take each piece out, and this time you're going to be able to use tear and tape or your adhesive tape, and then that way it'll go a little easier, a little quicker, and you won't have to worry about waiting to let it dry. So I'm just eyeing mine up, straightening it down. And on this one, I'll just show you there's a little bit of gray that's overhanging, so I'm just going to trim that off now instead of trying to trim it off after it's on the vest. Now, one of the reasons for making this vest is because a lot of sisters are in LDC and want to make cards for their groups or whatever, and this will give them another idea of something that they can make. Okay, so this one goes right on the bottom of the one you put down. This one's horizontal, the other one's vertical, obviously. I'm trying to remember my directions. And then you'll do the same on the other side. All right, I'm going to apologize right now from the start that this one's taking longer than the ones I usually show you. I usually show you, I just kind of tell you how to put them together. But this one I wanted to just kind of walk you through it a little bit more individually because of the fact that you do need to take glue and glue some of those pieces. So now I'm getting this put on there next. Okay, so I will have a little bit of that hanging over to trim as well. Now, you have a hammer and a wrench, and you will find a little piece, like very, very thin, small little gray piece, and that's on purpose. This is going to be a little piece you're going to put here on your vest, and then your hammer and your wrench are going to hang in the inside it. So you can do a couple different things. You can like put your hammer and wrench. Now you got to realize that if you want it to fit into a card, you need your hammer and wrench to be up, okay? But if you want, you can just put a little glue on each side of your strip, and then you can slide your hammer and your wrench in there, and then that makes it kind of cute. They can take it out, in and out if they want. The other thing is you definitely, there's enough room there to put in, I'm going to show you, you can put a glue dot on each side instead. That would work just as well. Keep it in place. I notice I'm off screen here. Okay, so what I did is I put a glue dot on each side. See where it's shiny? That's a glue dot. So I'm going to put that on the front of the vest. Maybe bend it a little bit here before you put it down to give it a little bit of a space there, and then put it down very lightly. on each side, and then you have room to tuck your wrench and your hammer. There we go. Voila, that's our card. And then I'm going to just trim this later. I'm not going to bore you with my trimming. I've done that enough already. So the other part that I have for you is a technique. So you will have on a piece of paper flower, a rose already stamped, and I did use a thick cardstock, white cardstock, and then I used the Memento ink. Now you definitely can use the StazOn ink if you want, but because of what we're using, it will be easy. It will work better to have this done. Okay, so I just picked out Melon Mambo base. I'm sorry, and I did some little fiddling with it. So you will have at your disposal blender pens. Now this is a technique. It's not new. It's been around for quite a while. Blender pens have been with Stampin' Up! For years, but it's one that we haven't used. So we're going to use them. So you just take a blender pen. I got a pack of 3, so you each can have one to use. And there's 2 sides to them. It doesn't matter. It's the same on both sides. Okay. So what you can do is you can squish your stamp pad. I'm not able to get mine squished enough, but if you get it squished enough, you can get the ink to rub onto the lid or the whatever of. I don't get very much, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But if you get enough ink rubbed into there, you can use that as your ink that you use for this technique. What it is you can make your flower look more watercolor look to it. And how you do that is you're going to draw the ink from the stamp pad onto your blender pen. So you just take the tip. You don't need it to do the whole thing. So I'm just taking the tip and I'm kind of rolling it in the blender, the ink, sorry. So now, obviously when you first start, the first strokes are going to be darker than the ones that go further out because your main ink is going to be right away. So I don't know if you can tell that, but this is much darker. And then as I've used it, then I pull my color out. See, the further out you go and the more I've used that blender pen, it gets lighter. Okay, now what you can do is you can then go back and go on the tip again, and maybe you just want to make the edge of your petal a little darker. So then you take and you go and you just trace along and make that darker. And you may have to just kind of experiment. So that's basically what this is all about. It's for you to experiment. Now, let's say you've started out and you got it dark, but it's still pretty dark. Then you just take it and you just kind of brush off some of that darkness, and then you can continue on after you've gotten it, and it's a little lighter after you've taken off some of that color. So just experiment with it so you get comfortable with it. I plan on trying to use this as a technique with some flowers in a upcoming card. And you'll notice though that the more you rub back and forth and get your paper wet, it's gonna start to kind of bubble up. You know, it's gonna whatever. But if you don't get it too wet, it will dry and it will flatten out again. So now let's say you are done. You're done. You're not gonna color no more. So when it comes before storage, you just keep on wiping this off until you don't see any more color coming off. Now your tip may still have a stain, but if there's no color coming off, you're good. Now let's say you want to, maybe you want to use a different color. You now have wiped off your color. You can take this tip and you can go into another color of another ink pad. Or use your other side. I would say something like, if you're going to stick with the one side for your pinks and reds, maybe go another side for your greens, you know, for your leaves and stuff. Just so it's just easier to see how much you've used the blender pen as well. Anyway, that's the technique I have for you to kind of experiment with, and I hope you enjoy that. And that's going to be kind of what you're going to do, and then getting any other projects that you brought along to finish up.